can say the same thing. How excited we are to be here. What's up? Welcome to Breaking Tackles, the New York Giants podcast. This is Tone. That's Sal. I'm
What's
Manny.
good? What's good?
Guys, what's good? What's good? A pleasure to be here with y'all. Even bigger pleasure to have our guest tonight. You guys may have seen him. He's pretty much in every Twitter space, every Giants chat group. You may have seen that brilliant video that he posted that went viral, went over 2 million views. Give my man a follow, please. Regardless of the video, obviously, regardless of what side of you are, either Daniel Jones can't throw or he threw the perfect pass out bounds. But regardless, this man knows his football. He's a young phenom. He's got his own show and his own YouTube channel called The Get Back, and they about to get back into action. Ladies and gentlemen, you already know, Ashton. Guys, week one, how we feeling?
That was a good intro. That was a great intro.
It was, really was. I felt a little special, like I was a
You all
celebrity or
special,
something.
brother. Thank you for coming through, bro.
No problem for having me. What's going on, y'all? We talk a lot, but this is like the first time we actually on like a show, on a YouTube show.
Right.
Yeah.
Up for a little bit different, but it's very easy. But I just came in. Let's talk about some week one Giants football. Yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, Sal, the king of queens. How you doing, bro?
Doing good, brother. Getting ready to get the season going.
Right on, right on. So obviously, we got week one, we got Tennessee Titans. But before we start there, I do want to get some reactions from everybody. I feel like this is everyone's first time on the camera since the news that broke. Obviously, roster reactions happened the way they did. Rosters got broken down to 52. It's going to be changed up and down this whole season. But the big change and the big thing that, Ash had my reaction live. Wait, what? What? Blake Martinez got cut? What? Blake Martinez got cut. So my question is, obviously, Blake Martinez being cut is a huge question mark at linebacker now.
hmm
There's been question marks around cornerbacks. We don't know if we're going to have healthy edge. We don't know what our own line looks like. What is you guys' take on the roster as a whole with all that being said? Tony, we'll start with you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll say this, man. The inside linebacker position was a question mark even with Martinez there. It's been a question mark now for years in the New York Giants. I mean, Blake Martinez and if whoever listens to this podcast knows, I respect Blake Martinez. He is an elite run stopping linebacker, but he is mediocre or very bad when it comes to the pass coverage as a linebacker. That was always been my thing with him. And I've always wanted the Giants to draft high. I guess the trend now in the NFL is not to really waste early picks on inside linebackers. That
Right.
must be an analytics thing. That's cool, but to me, like you have to build a defense or any part of the offense and defense is in the middle of the field. Your nose tackle, if you have running a 3-4, your defensive tackles if you're running a 4-3, the middle linebacker, it's the equivalent of the quarterback, and then your at least your roamer, your free safety or your strong safety, whoever the hell you have up there. That middle of the field to me is very important. The Giants have been slacking in that, at least in the second tier of that. So Blake Martinez being out, it's whatever to me.
Right on. Well, what about you, Sal?
Yeah, I didn't really expect much from Blake Martinez this year anyway, to be honest. Some of the same reasons Tony mentioned. He is probably not the best fit in a defense that prioritizes coverage ability. Uh, he really just a downhill linebacker. He cannot go backwards. And that's fine in run stopping downs, but in Wink Martindale's system, the emphasis is on having as many guys out there who can cover the middle of the field in coverage as possible and use different looks. Um, just from a schematic standpoint, just for a little reference, the era of yeah, we're a base 3-4 team, but if you look at the percentages of defensive formations that Baltimore has used as a guide to what to expect, they were only in their base 3-4 defense about 15 or 16% of the time the last couple of years. They were in nickel and dime packages close to 80% of the time. So,
Yep.
you know, what that tells me is we should expect 5 to 6 defensive backs on the field the majority of the time, the vast majority of the time, which in a system that prioritizes outside linebackers for versatility, you're probably going to have a lot of times where you only have one inside linebacker on the field. Probably 3 safety looks, one inside linebacker, plenty of DBs otherwise. Um, so that inside linebacker has to have a lot of ability. He has to be a Mike. He has to have the ability to have the green dot if necessary. He has to be able to go downhill. He has to be able to cover. So Blake Martinez just wasn't that guy. In terms of why he left, I saw a lot of people giving Joe Shane heat about it because of the salary cap implications of dropping him now versus months ago. And here's my best guess as to what happened.
No, I want to hear this.
When Joe Shane restructured Blake Martinez,
Right.
the we didn't have any linebackers, right, other than Tay Crowder, and it was before the draft. And when he restructured him, he basically gave him a gigantic pay cut where the cap savings was pretty close to what he would have gotten from cutting him, and he kept a linebacker on the team. I think their intention was to keep him on the team.
I think so too.
You fast forward to the draft, they get McFadden and Beavers. All of a sudden, they have a little bit of depth. They get to camp, and Wink Martindale says, I'm playing my guys, and Blake Martinez is probably not high on the depth chart. And my guess is right before the start of the season, he was pretty obviously told that he was a depth guy or a sub package middle linebacker, 1 to 2 down guy. He wasn't voted captain by his teammates. That had nothing to do with the coaches. That was his teammates who did not vote him captain. And the next thing you hear is he needs a day off. My guess is Blake Martinez took that day off and basically told the team, listen, I'm not part of the future. I'm not even part of the present. I'm going to be a free agent. I don't think I want to be here. And they worked out a release, probably out of respect for his wishes, and probably because they don't want a guy around who's part of the old system who doesn't want to be here. So I kind of think that's what went down. I don't think it had anything to do with the cap. I just think he was not a great fit. And at the end of the day, Blake probably wanted out as much as the Giants didn't want him.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good point. But Ashton, what do you think about the roster, and specifically, why do you hate Aaron Robinson?
Just about the roster and whole. I mean, I said it many times. Like, people should, we were getting into when Joe Shane and the initial free agent, the players that we weren't bringing back. Half of the team, the starters last year, are gone, right? Just the starters. I'm not even talking about the guys who are like, that last year and now they're starters now. Like the actual starters, Bradbury, Logan Ryan,
Bro.
Lorenzo Carter when he was on the field, and then even though he sucks, Will Hernandez. And Nate Solder and the whole
Billy
outside
Kneecap Price.
starters we have on this team are guys who contracts just get out of if we really wanted to let them go, or guys on their rookie. Those are all the guys that we have from last year. I think Art put out a tweet and it was like the list of starters from last year that won't be with the one, and it was like a long list. That being, the depth on this team is really it's a sight, right? And that's not Joe Shane's fault, because he didn't really have any room. One, he had capital, but the money to be able to replace those starters with quality guys. And you kind of understand what he wanted to do. He didn't want to go out and get guys who, could come in and play right now. George Pickens. People talk about probably some other offensive linemen that we could have drafted, like the North Carolina boys. Corners that we could have drafted other than Cordell Flott. Much of these guys, and I'm not giving the Joe Shane a pass for that because we still have to see how these guys develop,
Yeah.
To wait and see, but you see what he wants to do with these guys. He's not really focused on this year, and that's really how it should be done. And I think a lot of fans don't really realize that, instead of trying blitzes while you're trying to get your guys in here at the same time. Just tear it and try to get some developmental guys. Like, I don't get why a lot of people were mad about the Blake Martinez releasing. Like, am I good? You know, I don't.
It does cut in and out a little, yeah.
You're cutting in and out, but we're getting most of it. We're getting most of it though.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's that student Wi-Fi. But yeah. And Martinez wasn't really a factor, right? To begin with. I mean, he was good, but you talk about guys who wings defense, you really want to blitz, and Martinez wasn't really like he's fast because Martinez knows how to find a hole.
He can hit
and
gaps.
Just shoot through it.
Right, he can hit gaps, right.
But when you're doing it at a higher pace, he's not going to look that much effective.
Okay.
When you're just going and bull rushing the passer, to me, right? I think that's a big reason why, I think Martinez was a fit here is because I felt like you wouldn't see him as a lot of progress with just straight on bull rushing, right? Blitz. Being said, I don't hate Aaron Robinson, but I don't think he's the guy. Like, I think he should be a slot corner. I don't think he should move to the outside. And I know he has the ability to, but I think he makes his money in the slot.
And that's still a possibility.
Yeah, outside.
If he really messes up badly, I mean, there's a possibility where they might swap. Either they put Flott outside or they bring in what's this guy right now who's playing slot right now?
Arnett.
Holmes. They might put Holmes in the outside and just bring in Robinson back in the inside. I think they just wanted, a lot of the things that they liked was the actual physicality of Robinson with his size and stuff like that, his arm length. And that's why they wanted to move him to the outside as well. I'm not 100% sure about him in college, but maybe he did play in college. He maybe played on the outside in college. But yeah, man, that's scary.
On the outside in college.
But we gotta. My opinion on it is, if Wink, like I do trust Wink. So if Wink sees something in him, even if he's getting burned, I think that we just gotta let him take his burns this season and then see what's up. Because at the end of the day, the kid is young. This is his second year in the season, right? This is about to be his second year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's his first full season, first full training camp.
So you're asking somebody who's not a high draft pick to already get it together in his second year in the league. That's kind of like the same thing. Well, not the same thing, but that's kind of what some of these fans did for Thomas, where they were like, why is he such a bum in year one? And it's like, yo, to be honest, like not everybody's going to click on year one or even year two. When you want to say like, yo, he is a bust, he's either doing drastically bad or by year three, he's just not putting it together. So I think that this is the year where we got to let that man take his bruises and see what does he have. Like I guess like when you're breaking down the film and you're watching him, what you want to see is him, at least he didn't get like burned. Like he was right there on making the plays. And if that's the case, like that's the little things that we're seeing, I don't have a problem with that in that aspect. What do you guys think about that? Ash, are you still with us, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, he's muted. Okay. Go ahead, Manny.
No, I mean, you definitely for me, you want to see him play well, and you definitely want to see him not, get burned. Mm-hmm. I know preseason everyone was kind of losing it, and I was too. Mm-hmm. Also, another thing to think about, I remember last year, Andrew Thomas preseason wasn't very good. He got ate up versus Uche, and then season started, and he looked like a changed player. Looked really improved. So it's all about just how they look when the season starts. I don't have the most confidence in him because I do believe he should be in the slot, and this doesn't really help his progression to be able to be a slot cornerback. It helps him to get on the field. It helps him to be able to be on the, play. Mm-hmm. But that's not going to help him to be able to adjust to a slot where he'll probably play more there anyways.
Yeah.
To let the dogs out. I'm for me on this roster, the one thing I'm focusing on tight ends. Daniel Bellinger and what that dude that they got from the 49ers practice squad, Tanner Hudson.
Yeah.
That's really it. Chris Myrick is a fullback, so I'm interested what's going to happen at the tight end position. And I know a lot of people have started kind of, not necessarily devaluing tight ends, but I've been kind of more about the mindset of, hey, tight ends don't have to be a superstar, all elite athlete like Evan Ingram, because look what that got us. But if they can just be consistent blockers, then they'll be able to be, consistent help to the offense. So I'm interested to see how the tight ends are going to be deployed. I do think, obviously, it looks like Daniel Bellinger is going to play. That's exciting. So I also want to go ahead and just switch up here and ask a question right before we get into just some specific things here. Ash, good to have you back. Ash, I'm going to have you do this for me real quick here. Open forum. I want to get our last thoughts on everything. Obviously, this is the longest off season ever. This has been the longest training camp ever. Literally, every and all type of people, in situations breaking down practices and how they look on the sideline and interacting with all that. It's an open forum. I want to get everyone's last thoughts about the Giants heading into this Week 1 matchup. Ash, let me start with you.
Y'all can hear me? Am I good?
Yeah, you're perfect now, bro. You're
lovely.
You're on a desktop now?
No, I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I live in like student housing, so like the Wi-Fi is like we have
as it should.
What do we have?
What school you in?
I go to A&T, North Carolina A&T.
Okay.
Yeah. But what we got Spectrum.
Yeah.
And it's like really not that good.
Now, if you're not connected on Ethernet in the dorms, then good luck, bro. Because everybody's on Wi-Fi in the dorms. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. No, I'm in like apartments. I'm in a student apartments, but same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. But with the question, basically, we talked about a little bit like before. Like, I'm just trying to get through the season. I want to see what some of these young guys do. Like, I want to see some of these, like Wandale, obviously, Kayvon when he comes back, Aziz when he comes back. I know Cordell Flott. I mean, somehow, somewhere he'll be on the field due to like other people getting injured or something like that. But I want to see what he can do. Much of these young guys, I want to see if Kadarius can stay healthy, for the whole year. Or really, I don't really mind if guys get hurt like 2 or 3 games because now, especially since we're doing like 17 games, but I want to see him stay on the field for a good chunk, and actually see him develop as a receiver because like Kadarius is really unpolished. Like he's a game changer, but he's really unpolished. With that being said, that's just really what I want to see. Like I said, the roster as a whole, it's like we don't have that much depth. We're a major injury away from putting guys out on the field that really shouldn't be there.
Right.
So it's like I can't even feel like there's excitement to it, but at the same time, I'm just like, yo, just get me to the off season. I'm ready for a new quarterback. I'm ready for just some like when we get that quarterback, whoever it is, I feel like there will be more excitement about this team than it is now. So that's really all that stuff is what I'm looking for.
Okay. Oh, let me just get my piece real quick because this will be short and quick. Positive. My open forum is Andrew Thomas looks like a dude, and he's been by far since last year to now. I'll say this very confidently. I love all the players on our team that are, especially the guys that come to play every Sunday and Tuesday and Thursday and all those games. I think he was the best player on our team from last year, and I think it came into this year.
He was.
Consistent rock, consistent left tackle, something that
he looks better
this team hasn't had. Even with the 3 games he missed out last year, I think it was a little bit more, but even with that game, Andrew Thomas to me has been like, I feel like all Giants fans are O-line experts because all we've been looking at for like last 10 years is O-line prospects in college because O-line has been booty, to say the least.
Yeah.
And it's been bad. So I feel like we've just all been looking at offensive linemen, guards, centers, tackles, and everyone, I feel like everyone, DJ's great, DJ stinks.
Right.
Tony's great, blast Tony. Kenny Galladay can't play. He has been hit. Great. Let's see how he does. Like everyone's, the defense stinks. Blake Martinez should be on the team. Blah blah blah. Like everyone has all these opinions about every player here and there. Every team, every fan base is split, but not with Andrew Thomas. I feel like everyone is on the same page and saying Andrew Thomas is an absolute dog.
Yeah, I think the
that
only thing that
wanting.
people are talking about is
Yeah.
can he stay all 17 games on the field, all 16 games.
And it's like what Ash said, with it being 17 games, if they miss a game or two or three,
It doesn't bother me.
it's not ideal, but
Right.
you kind of let it. It is what it is. What do you think, Tony? What is your last
I'll let
thing to
Sal.
say before we get in?
I'll let Sal go.
Go ahead, Sal. What you think before we get into the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm looking at it as a developmental year for our
Sure.
young guys. Joe Shane is turning over this roster. I want to see these young kids play.
Hmm.
I want to see them develop into a team that has a winning culture. Um, we've had people that we all kind of interact with make some good points, like Nunu, who made a point about, remember
Shout out
Detroit from
Nunu.
last year.
She's been on point on a lot of things.
Yeah,
bro.
she's
So,
she's always on point.
Yeah.
But she mentioned the point, like last year, Detroit was hella fun to watch as a team. They were developing. They were losing a lot of games, but week after week, you could see the team developing and getting better and better, right? So
Good point.
it would be good to see our young guys develop. I want to see them play. Like you said, Aaron Robinson's a young player. He was a talented corner. He played mostly slot at UCF when we drafted him, but he wasn't a low pick. He was drafted at 71. So he was sort of like an early to mid third round pick. And
He
a
was
lot of
supposed to go higher.
yeah, I mean he was pegged as like a second round talent, and and he played mostly slot, but he's just about 6 feet tall, 195, 200 pounds, has the length. I think he has the measurables of somebody who should be able to play the boundary, but it's not something he's done, and it's not easy to do if all you've ever done is face forward, right, as a slot, and now you're on the boundary where you're basically either playing, press, and then you've got to turn your back and flip those hips and then look back, something he's not used to doing, or playing off and trail. So he's learning the position. Is he going to be a good boundary? I don't know. But I need to see him play all year. I don't care if he gets cooked over and over and over again. He needs to learn how to hold down that position, because if he's not a boundary corner, we need to know that by the end of the year.
Good
Okay,
point.
and we need to know, are we drafting a boundary corner with the top 100 pick next year? That's an important question to answer. So
That's a
these are the
very
kind of
good
things I'm
question.
looking for. Will these young players develop, right? Kayvon and Aziz, how are we going to use them? Evan Neal, I want to see him continuously improve, not just his run blocking, but his pass blocking. See how he works with Glowinski on the right side. So I'm looking at this as like a developmental year. Let these kids play, let them take their lumps, keep them going out there, because this is an aggressive system on offense and defense. They need to get comfortable with it. And as fans, we need to be comfortable with the idea that there are going to be days where they look really good and impress us, and there are going to be days where they're just going to get cooked real bad on defense. They're going to look bad on offense. Don't lose sight of the fact that this is a developmental year. Let these kids play, let them develop, let them implement their system. A really good NFL team, they use their depth to overcome injuries, like Ash was getting at, right?
No.
Dave Gettleman left us in a hole where Joe Shane is like begging for pennies to just pay for the lights to stay on. The depth we have is garbage, Our bottom 10 to 15 are probably guys who don't even make an NFL roster, right? And they're going to become starters for us at some point, and we need to realize that, right? So when that happens, we're going to get slaughtered in certain parts of the game. And you can't overcome that. Like, you can't overcome a lack of talent.
Right.
And that's going to happen to us because we're the most injured team in the NFL. So when you have a roster with no depth and a really injured team, that's a bad combination. You're going to get bad players on the field a lot. That's why we're going to lose a lot of games, unfortunately, even though I would like to be optimistic. But to me, as long as we let the kids play, let them develop, and they have a winning culture and a culture of hustle by the end of the year where they're ready to win, and when we go into next offseason, we go into the draft and we're talking about how do we fix this roster further, Joe Shane all of a sudden goes from being bottom dweller in draft capital to, in cap capital to having, close to $60 million.
Third most. Third most.
Right. And, if you cut, we can get into a cap episode later, but basically, you make some maneuvers, you're going to be around 60 million, even with the Leonard Williams thing from today. And he can actually make smart decisions with our money going forward. I'm not saying you're going to go get a bunch of free agents, because I think that's a bad idea. But I think selectively picking the right guys, extending the right guys, and then building through the draft. And the most important thing, get the quarterback. For this year, the only way we're winning this year, let's be honest, the only way bad teams can win is if their quarterback throws them on his shoulder and says, I got you. We're going to win this game, right? And you can't win with an incomplete roster and a non-winner quarterback. I'll put it that way, right? If Daniel Jones doesn't put the team on his back and carry them to wins, they're going to lose 10, 11, 12, 13 games. Let's be honest. So the only thing keeping them from losing that many games is Daniel Jones. Is he able to do it? I don't know. We'll find out, right? That's what we're going to find out this season. But
Boy.
I don't think so. I haven't seen anything to make me believe it, but we'll see. But as long as the kids develop, I'm good. Because this team, in my opinion, is a franchise quarterback away from being a perennial contender. The way Joe Schoen is putting them on the trajectory. Not with the current roster.
Okay.
But the way he's building this up.
All right, cool. So now let me just real quick. I'm gonna say my point, but I want to ask you a question, Sal. Something that you pointed out. You said you want to see the kids develop. 100% on you. I think this is a development season. Can you develop a winning environment when you're not winning, though?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because you develop that fight in these kids, right?
Okay.
And you show them how to get out there and compete for 60 minutes. You show them how to fight every damn play. And in the NFL, the difference between the best and the worst team sometimes is, one score, right? One score, a few plays. It's not a huge difference. It comes down to becoming playmakers and being the reason your team won. And I guarantee you're going to see games, maybe towards the end of the season, that we pull out that we did not think we could pull out because Kayvon Thibodeau went and made some crazy play, right? Where he intercepted a pass when he dropped back into coverage, or he sacked and caused a fumble, or Azeez makes a play, or maybe even an Aaron Robinson or a flood. I want to see these guys become the playmakers who are the reason we win at some point.
Right.
So yeah, I think you can develop that culture of competition and winning, even if you're taking your lumps and losing.
Yeah.
So
shout out, Tony. What you think?
I'll say this. I agree with what Ash, what all you guys are saying, man. It's about young talent and developing talent this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Ashley pointed out something. He said that Nunu mentioned, and shout out to Nunu. Shout out to everybody, by the way, who's on the chat. Big Dash and Big Pat. You guys are both excellent content creators. Absolutely go support those guys. Anybody who's on the chat watching. You guys,
hell yeah.
You pointed out something, Ash. You said that last year the Lions were fun to watch and they were taking their losses. So I real quick went and saw their strength of schedule that they were facing last year. They were facing the 6th toughest schedule of the year last year. And we're facing a bottom 5 strength of schedule this year. So listen, and this is my problem. That's the only thing that I honestly could hang my hat on is yo, we have a chance every Sunday. It all depends of what do we get out of Daniel Jones on that Sunday. But I think that, and even me, the pessimist in Daniel Jones, I still think that we could get like a average line out of this guy. We could get 2 touchdowns, an interception, 250 yards or 300 yards out of this guy, which is nothing crazy. I think that this offense could get this kid to that level. Not every time he's gonna have 2 touchdowns, but if he could average 2.2, I think that we could do that, especially with the opponents that we're facing. That's why I'm still optimistic about this. But
2.2 what?
2.2 touchdowns per game.
That's 37 touchdowns. You think he's gonna throw 37 touchdowns?
So then let's go. Okay, so I take it back. That's not that.
My God, I wouldn't.
Let's go 1.7. Let's go 1.7 or something like that. Sometimes he throws 2, sometimes he just throws 1 a game, pretty much on that type of level. 1.5 ish.
Okay.
That's more what I meant. Definitely not him not throwing 37. That's not gonna happen. But I just I see and I'm the opposite as Sal. I think that you could develop dudes, but developing dudes to be winners is a different story. You have to go into these like last minute situations. Comes down to who makes a play, and that play decides the win of the game. That's how you develop winners, in my opinion. And the only way of doing that is by actually winning. So that's why I'm like, yo, I need to see these kids like make the plays to win the game, because the core that's gonna be here for next year and the year after, I want to know that these guys could play. Like, there's a lot of guys right now that I'm like, there's still questions on you. There's still questions on Aziz. There's questions on Love. There's questions on Tony. There's questions on a lot of guys here, and I want to see. That's why, like, just making it through the season is not enough for me. I think that if I see like just really bad performances from certain guys like Aziz, I'm like, yo, we might have to replace Aziz, because that 1 year wonder stuff was cool, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's the kind of mentality I'm in.
Nah,
unless I see it like impact on the game, I'm like, nah, that guy is changeable.
That's a good point. Now, that's a good point what you said about just at this point having that carte blanche mindset to be like, hey, listen, if our ownership decided to change something they hadn't changed since like the late 70s, then we need to kind of get off of these players that we maybe value a little higher than the league.
Yeah.
It's a good point. All you guys make good points. And it's actually perfect. You're talking about guys like Julian Love, Aziz. I won't bring him up right now because he's injured. Who knows if he'll play? He's probably going to play. Who knows?
Right.
But you mentioned all these guys that we were talking about. And I actually want to get your guys' opinions real quick. Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, Julian Love, Leonard Williams. Guys that polarizing figures to the Giants, polarizing figures to the fan base. Some guys are coming in, like Tony, rookie, last year, coming into a second year now, kind of like a full season. Hopefully, you're hoping, knock on wood. Golladay, obviously, him and Leo, the big money guys, but Golladay specifically has just been getting poo-pooed on this whole off season. And then Julian Love is the one guy who, he's the captain. He can't do anything wrong. So my question is, of all those guys, who do you guys have the most confidence that's gonna have a good to great season?
Yo, can I go first?
Go ahead.
I listen. I don't even know why Leonard Williams is in that conversation. Leonard Williams puts up stats like crazy. Like, even if it's pressures or he impacts
tackles
the
for
game
a D tackle
without really impacting the
he's a dog
numbers. Yeah. So I wouldn't even put him in that conversation. Maybe throw in Shepard and replace Leonard out of there, or somebody else. You know what I'm saying? But I'll tell you this much. You know who I have most faith on to have a good year out of that group, not counting Leonard? Kenny Golladay, bro. Like, legit. I know it's going to sound crazy to me, but if you just throw him the ball, like, yo, he can't get separation. Throw him the ball right at him and let him one-on-one. Like, I want to get to the point this season where I'm like, yo, Kenny doesn't even win 50-50 balls. Like, get him off the field. Don't even let him play. But until then, I'm like, yo, he is that guy. He's just that guy. He's always been that guy. Watch the highlight tapes from Detroit. It's always like jumping up on top of the corner and catching a ball. Like, it's just, there's always a corner right next to him. So if Daniel Jones gets that fear out of him, I think Kenny Golladay is the guy that's gonna show up and prove everybody wrong. I have no faith in Love, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Ash, if you had, who do you think is going to be a dude, even if not in that list, a guy you're have confidence going to have a good to great season this year?
What about who's going to surprise him? Or
who's going to surprise?
Who's
like
the fans down on that you're high on?
Good to great season. Who's going to surprise? Who's a guy that you're going to put your chips in?
I like that.
Damn. You added a twist to it. I'm not going to lie.
We can get back to you if you want.
We break it down.
Damn. Get back to me.
Sal, go ahead. Give me somebody that people are not high on, but you're like, nah, he's gonna prove people wrong.
And why is it John Feliciano?
And if there's nobody, then there's nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody who people are not high on.
Yeah.
That that we think is going to surprise. So I kind of want to say Aaron Robinson.
Okay.
Because as much as I think he's going to get cooked like crazy, and I think he will, like I said, if I'm sticking to my, I mean, let's be honest. But if I'm sticking to what I said before, that I want to see the kids develop,
Yeah.
I do think that if there's anything to this guy, if there's any dog in
potential.
this fight,
I
if there's
see
any
where you're
dog in
going.
this guy,
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna learn how to handle himself out there as the season goes on,
I see where you're going.
and he'll start leveling the playing field, and he'll start looking like a boundary corner. So I would say my biggest shocker to fans right now would be that by the end of this year,
Oh my God.
we're gonna feel like Aaron Robinson can hold the boundary, and we may upgrade the position, but that we'd feel comfortable with him as a possible boundary next year
I like
because
that.
I think that he has the talent. So that would be my shocker. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
I
So
like
yeah,
it.
I believe in
Optimism is back.
yeah. I'll take that bet. I'll take him on his low point in value and make
Hell
that
yeah.
bet.
I like that.
Pennies on the dollar. Ash,
Yo,
who you
Manny,
got?
Ash, you ready, or you want Manny to go?
Yeah,
Oh, you want me to go?
yeah.
Because I have a.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Go for it.
Hell yeah.
So
Seems like you're ready.
I'm not really high on this guy, and that's the reason why I am picking him. It's Micah McFadden. I
Ooh.
think Micah McFadden could turn into be used in a similar role that Blake Martinez was used in, and I'm not even saying that because he looks like him. He's the white linebacker.
He's white.
The blockhead.
But if you look at the similar things that Blake Martinez does and Micah McFadden does, Micah McFadden can wrap up, and really attack when given the chance. So, and I'm saying that because he's kind of one of the guys that I think really might get cooked this year. But
All right.
if Brian Dable and if they have trust in him, even though he's not starting,
Yeah, supposedly Calitro is on the starting
Yeah.
part of the starting guys.
Cilantro, yeah.
Cilantro.
but I'm sure he will get
He's gonna get
pushed
burned.
into that
Mhm.
starting role. So
Mhm.
if they have faith in them and decide to move on with Blake when Darian Beavers got hurt and he's really like I think we only have like 3 interior linebackers,
Mhm.
then I'm gonna suck up my pride and put some faith into him. So
Hell yeah.
that's my pick. I think another
Oh.
guy that I think might surprise people this year is Gary Brightwell, and he might be used. I know he's being used for special teams
Mhm.
a little bit. He might not get that much action in the run game, but let's just say, knock on wood, Saquon doesn't get hurt. But
Yeah.
let's just say something happens and they do kind of like a running back by committee.
Yeah.
I could see Gary Brightwell kind of impressing a lot of people like he did in the preseason.
He looked good in the
Um,
preseason.
Yeah, he should have been. He should
He
have
earned
been
the
number
spot. I
2.
thought he was gonna get
He
cut.
should have been number 2.
Yeah, but those are 2 guys I think that a lot of people aren't high on, but the time comes, he might
Yeah.
Yo, so
really surprise people.
let me just say something. I am actually high on Micah McFadden, but when I see him on film, I see that he could actually cover. He could play zone really well. Like I like his dropbacks into zone. I haven't seen much of him in man, and I'll be honest. But when I see him play zone, I like how he drops back to his hook to curls. I like what I see when he's doing flats, and I can see him at predominantly at the third down or maybe later in the year. I thought that would have been a really good combination of Tate Crowder and Michael McFadden, because Tate Crowder is more of a run stopping linebacker. McFadden, I feel to me like he's more like a coverage linebacker. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that name, man.
Yeah.
I'm high on him. I'm high on him actually, and I want to see if he surprises people and just get some some picks and stuff like that.
Hell
this
yeah.
year.
He's the best Micah. Excuse me, I'm just gonna say he's the best Micah in the NFC East.
Yeah, we wish.
Yeah,
We
just
wish.
kidding. JK, what were you gonna say, Sal?
I'm gonna say that for those of you who are interested, who get into the draft stuff, and you guys know I do, and you look at college tape, I think the most telling tape on Micah McFadden is the Indiana-Cincinnati game. Now, if you guys remember, Cincy was, they were a playoff team last year. They were a top four team.
Only undefeated team going in there.
Exactly. Yep.
Exactly. And so there was an Indy-Cincinnati game last year. In the first half, Indiana completely dominated Cincinnati, and they had their offense just bottled up. Jerome Ford couldn't get anywhere. They couldn't get the rushing game going. Ritter could not pass over the middle, and they were just all out of sorts. And Micah McFadden was basically the captain of that Indiana defense. And if you watch that game, he's all over the field. He's playing zone. He's knocking down passes. He's coming down on blitzes because they play a blitz-heavy scheme in Indiana. He was disrupting the passing game. He was taking out blockers. I mean, he was all over the field. And what happened towards the end of the second half is he came in on a blitz play, and he hits Desmond Ritter. I can't remember if it was a sack or it was just a hit, but just before his hit, he kind of lowers his shoulder. And
hell yeah.
And I don't think it was intentional, but he got called for targeting and got thrown out of the game.
Now I gotta see this game. Now I'm going to watch this game right after this, bro.
Yeah, it was a very questionable targeting call.
Yeah,
it was controversial. But as soon as he left the game,
that game blew. It was over.
Cincinnati blew the doors off the game. So the entire Indiana defense fell apart. And I think if you read the scouting report, that's who Micah McFadden was. He was the He was the leader of that defense. And so there is clearly something there that these guys saw. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually a 3-down middle linebacker for this team.
I like it.
I like it. Green dot sometimes. So yeah, I'm high on the kid.
I like that. So I'll say my guy real quick. I think Galladay's good. It's not Galladay, by the way. It's not Leo, Tony, or Julian Love. Although I think all those guys are gonna have a good season, especially Tony and Galladay.
Okay.
I think Galladay's just been getting crapped on way too much for just unnecessarily, and I get everyone's opinions about it, but I feel like
he's really hurt.
We're gonna see this season. We're gonna see this Sunday. So hey, maybe this Sunday all y'all will be vindicated. We'll see.
Yeah.
The guy I'm gonna go with is the guy who I think I've been riding the bandwagon since he's been on this team, since he's been signed. My fellow Long Island brethren, Feliciano. Feliciano.
Oh God!
Everybody has been. There's another guy who everyone has just been kind of been thrown to the side. They say he's not that good of a player. He's going to get rammed back by Justin Simmons and by name your defensive tackle that Fletcher Cox, whoever. They haven't been given this man. I get it. He's not Quentin Nelson. He's not an elite guard. He's not an elite center. He's not an elite. He's not an elite offensive lineman. But what he brings is something this offensive line hasn't had in a long time. He brings that nasty. He brings that. Like, I know Nick Gates had it, but he brings like that actual, I've done this in the league for a while. I've played on, teams that have had Pro Bowl quarterbacks that I've been, passing the center to. I've played against elite offensive linemen. I played on a team that was one game away from making it to the Super Bowl. I've been there and done that. And I've been a guy who, I have my scars to prove it. I think Feliciano, he's been what this offensive line needs as far as from learning the system that Daboll is going to be able to, Daboll is going to have there, learning how the offensive lineman is supposed to block, being that glue that's going to bring the team together offensive line wise. There's also going to fight for his dudes and is going to have that camaraderie behind his guys that I think this offensive line hasn't had in a while. Andrew Thomas is the best player on this offensive line for sure.
Do you think Feliciano comes back next year?
I wouldn't. I think if the Giants are going for younger, they don't. I think Feliciano is good for right now for this year, and I think he's going to be a dude that's going to be
if he plays a lot more. They're going to bring him back next year.
I think he's going to. I think, and
just throw him away if he's good.
Hey, if the cap is on point, it's on point. I think he'll be a good player for this offensive line.
How much is he making now? $3 million, right?
like a mil or $2 or $3 million.
Yeah,
Nothing crazy.
He's not gonna get more.
I think Feliciano wouldn't be a bad dude to bring back if he has a good season. And me personally, I think he's gonna have a good season because I think he's gonna bring consistency to the offensive line, and he's gonna bring a nastiness that we haven't had an offensive line, since Nick Gates went down, and honestly before then a lot longer. So I'm excited to see him play.
Let me say one big important thing about Feliciano, which might be the reason why he might be coming back next season. Daniel Jones doesn't call his own protections. Feliciano is the one that's going to be calling the protections. And what is a rookie quarterback going to do? Not call his protections next season. You need a guy that knows the playbook. So that is if he plays good, I would absolutely not be surprised if he's there.
Yep.
Feliciano himself, his stats don't matter to me. Like I don't expect him to get pancakes. What I expect to see is Daniel Jones having more time than last year, having better pocket, there being more run opportunities. This offensive line looks like a unit, and you got to say that man is the reason why, because he's the one that's calling the protections. So,
and I think something that a lot of people talked about. I know I was on some streams like midway through last season where people were talking about drafting Evan Neal and Tyler Linderbaum back when like that all that hype was with the first top two.
God, I forgot about that.
Back, yeah.
So, but something that popped up was that, hey, if we get Linderbaum, maybe you'd want to start Gates at center and have Linderbaum at guard to learn from Gates, and then switch Linderbaum over back to center and switch Gates to guard midway through the season. Maybe that's something they could do if they draft like a mid-round interior offensive line, like a center, and have him learn.
It's Philly, because Philly drafted a center, and it was like the top center or something like that from last
year. It was like
right?
Cam Jurgens was one.
But they also drafted Lander Dickerson as well.
Last year,
the year before.
So that guy is not starting, right?
He's a guard.
Oh, he's at guard right now? Okay.
Yeah. Because this is Kelsey's last season.
Right. So it's
probably going to be done.
What I'm saying is exactly what Ash is saying. Then the Eagles are doing exactly what Ash is saying over there. So they moved that guy to guard for this year. And then next year he's going to play center then. So that's actually, I didn't even know that's how that goes down.
Yeah. And so, like, because I'm not really, I think Feliciano is a guard. I mean, he could prove me wrong this year with him playing center.
Okay.
But I feel like that would kind of fit. How old is Feliciano anyway?
30.
Like, is he like 30?
30.
Yeah.
So
maybe
he's fine for next year.
And maybe, whenever Gates, I don't know if they want to keep Gates or even like we have to wait to see with all that. Like, did they put him on like IR? Gates?
He's gonna at least. I think he's I think he's gonna be like out for the first 8 games or something like that. I think he's on top.
Because they put him on IR with like.
He's not on IR according to ESPN. He's just.
No, he's on PUP.
Okay.
With Matt Pert, or is Matt Pert on IR?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
So that's probably something to look at. If they do bring out Gates, probably shift Gates to guard and. Probably have Feliciano at center, and then put like if they draft an interior like a center next year who can play guard and center, kind of put him at guard to start off, and then waive Feliciano when his time is up, and then put the center to center, and then have Nick Gates and probably have Joshua Zudu at guard. So that's something I can see that's interesting, interests me a little bit. With that and Feliciano.
I forgot that Zudu's on this team. That's a good point. But guys, we got week 1 coming up. We got the Tennessee Titans at Nashville. Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill. Obviously, this offense is predicated off of Derrick Henry. I think and we're going to get right into it. Expectations on the O and the D. I'll start with the defense. The only way the Giants are going to win this game is if they make King Henry look like a prince. If they, you don't got to limit his rushing to like under 100 or 40. You just got to limit his touches, and you got to limit the big games. The big gains, excuse me. And you got to limit him just for when you tackle him, get him down, and don't let him get up, and don't let him break tackles. Don't let him start throwing people over the ring like Big Show does. Don't let him just start, manhandling people and having people look like Josh Norman out there. He has, they got to be able to get to him. They got to be able to bring him down.
Right.
I'm not saying Tannehill's a complete bum, but I definitely do think as a defense, you want to put the game in Tannehill's hand, and see how they do. I think that's what the defense has to do to win this game, and the offense has to score points. I'm tired of these 21, 22. I'm tired of people losing their mind when the offense goes 24 points, 25 points. It's like consistently they should be doing that, not on a high note of the season. So I want to see this team, how they look. I want to see Saquon. We haven't talked about Saquon a lot in this pod. I think all of us have an expectation that Saquon's going to come out and ball and make it a tough decision for the Giants to cut him or to not extend him. I want to see him ball. We talked about Kadarius Toney and Kenny Golladay. Sterling Shepard might be playing. I want to see how they perform. I want to see this offense actually look like an offense.
Right.
It may not have like so much depth into it because our offense has looked terrible for so long, has looked inept. The last 2 years, unwatchable. The last part of the season last year. I need to see this offense look like something. I need to see this team actually show that they have an offensive game plan that's not going to stink. That's what I need to see.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think, Ash? Or whoever goes. Go, whomever.
Yeah, I think the keys to this is going to be, most importantly, Daniel Jones, obviously. He's gonna have to come out the gate like firing because, when we talked about in space today, like that's what makes Ryan Tannehill, kind of not perform at his best is when he's behind and he can't really use Derrick Henry effectively, right? If we're just lingering, yep. And if we're lingering around, that's kind of not what you want to do. So, like, I'm not even talking about, like, first drive, we have to score a touchdown, right? Next drive, we could probably score a field goal, but we have to score touchdowns, right? 75% of our drives need to end in touchdowns, all right? That's not realistic at all.
I was going to say, they're about to score 50.
50 touchdowns, right?
There's an agenda here.
You get what I'm trying to say. Like, we need to
100%.
score and stay ahead, right? The thing about Derrick Henry, we need to contain him because if he bounces to that outside, it's a wrap. I want to have more confidence in our defense, but outside of Leonard and Dex, if he bounces outside of them, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I don't think anybody fairly could say like they have confidence in anybody in this defense outside of Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence when it comes to Henry.
The D line.
Like, come on, bro. Like, anything else that you're saying right now that doesn't involve those two gentlemen, it's like, you're being a fan, bro.
Yeah, and even with Kayvon, right? He's still a rookie, first game. I'm not expecting Kayvon to just stop Derrick Henry. Like, come on, like. I expect Kayvon to get walked down too. Like, it's like maybe if we were facing them in like week 8 or something, but like literally week 1, So
this season
you're gonna have to.
You could play in week 15, and Kayvon is gonna get run over, bro. Like they're gonna just push him out of the way. Kayvon is not ready. His run defense is not ready for this year. Like, it's just not. If he contributes anything in the run defense. Like, in any game during the season, that's going to be like the game that the Giants are going to fucking blow out.
Yeah, but I'd say, like, you got to contain Henry, and then even if you stop Henry, the secondary has to hold up. But I think this is a good matchup for Daniel Jones. I think it's a good matchup for this team. I said it earlier, like, the Titans – they're not to be messed with. Like, I get it, they lost AJ Brown, but like look how much production AJ Brown and how much really contributed to that Titans team last year, right? It wasn't like the AJ Brown like his first couple of years over in Tennessee. He had a pretty down, like his stats don't really say. I think he had over 1,000 receiving yards. I'm not sure.
He was injured too.
Yeah, and he got hurt. I'm gonna look it up right now while I'm talking. Yeah, he didn't even have 1,000 yards. He had 869 yards. So it's like even with that, and Julio Jones, was a big disappointment for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
They beat 3 Super Bowl contenders last year,
Yeah.
right? And
I mean, their schedule,
they
their record was
led the
insane.
league. There was a certain amount, like through the half to like third quarter of the season, they led the league with the most players on IR. And during that time, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
So it's like they're not to be fucked with. Like I get it, Ryan Tannehill is a mid quarterback. Like we see him as a mid quarterback, but he will really, given the opportunity, you take Ryan Tannehill, not serious. He will make you pay. So it's just like this is a good matchup for the Giants. I think we'll see the identity of this team week 1, and I'll predict it. I'm not gonna say that that's gonna be our peak, but you'll get to see a good, piece of who we are
Mm-hmm.
throughout this season, week 1. So
So just to give you a heads up, the Titans, and a lot of the reason why they had their record was, yo, that was a top 10 off defense. I mean, like they were number 6 in points allowed per game. So
Bro,
like,
and they had
that's
Janoris Jenkins as the starting corner.
bro.
Like,
Okay, yes, and even let's touch base on even that. Their
Oh,
secondary was
Jackrabbit.
suspect. Their
Yeah.
secondary suspect, but their defensive line is probably the best defensive line in the league. And they lost Harold Landry, which is a second team All Pro guy, huge guy to lose. Like that's gonna be a big deal. They still have
Mhm.
3 other very good guys on that defensive line. That is like, yo, there's no breaks in that defensive line. And mind you, they're deep on the defensive line. So whoever they're gonna bring in there is still going to be somebody that's gonna be productive. Some type of it's like what Sal was saying. Like, yo, our depth chart, our backups are not even good enough to be in anywhere in the league. That's not the
Mhm.
Titans, and that's not the Titans' defensive line. Their defensive line backups probably could have a lot of snaps in our team. So that's the problem with that. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting
Stop.
for sure.
Yeah, so the keys to the game, I guess, if you want to try to win this game and you're the Giants, um, I think you guys touched on it. The key number one is Daniel Jones has to come out swinging. You're not going to win this game as like a ball control, slow it down. We'll trade
Oh.
punches with Derrick Henry game because the more times you give the Titans the ball without a lead, if you don't have the lead, Derrick Henry's going to
It's
run
gonna
it down
wear us
our
out.
throat.
It's gonna wear us out.
He is going to absolutely destroy our second level defenders, and he will
That's a good
get to
point.
the second level. He will
Yeah.
absolutely get to the second level because that's who he is. And don't forget that they drafted Hassan Haskins out of Michigan. He's a little lower on their depth chart, but let's
Oh,
say they're
damn. Change the pace.
so if I'm the offensive coordinator of the Titans and I'm looking at the Giants and I'm like, what's my game plan to win? And I want to control the game at the line of scrimmage and I want to run the ball. And Derrick Henry's coming off an injury. I'm running it with Derrick, but I'm giving him spells and I'm saying I'm not going to change this game plan. I'm taking an absolute bruiser of a back like Haskins, and I'm never letting up. I'm gonna maul these guys all game long with the run game. So get ready for a lot of that, right? The only way you're gonna stop that is if Daniel Jones comes out swinging and gets us like a 2-score lead.
Like
I'm not
Ash was
joking.
saying,
He's got to get us a 10 to 14 point lead pretty
Yep.
early. So that means first drive of the game, drive it down. None of this bullshit. Get to the 5-yard line and then pretend play like you never played like
And
quarterback
then
before.
throw it to a fucking defensive tackle.
Exactly.
We're
Right.
sitting down.
Put it in the freaking end zone, right? Come back when you get the ball back, put it in the end zone. If you have a 10 to 14 point lead early, like if we're going to halftime and we're up 14-3 or 17-7 or something like that, then I think we're in business. Then we have a chance because then it limits their opportunities in the second half, which usually moves faster. And scoring tends to be harder to come by in the second half. It limits their ability to just feed Henry. Then you're forcing Tannehill to have to beat this defense, right? So number one, Daniel Jones got to come out swinging, and he's got to give us a lead early. Again, he's got to put us on his back.
I like
Number
that you guys
two-
have the same type of game plan we're going on here.
Because if we get behind these guys, it's a wrap.
Yeah, it's done.
So
It's fucking
Because
It's
we're
over.
Yeah, because they'll be able to
victims.
run the ball out.
We're victims of the play
It'll
action.
maul.
We're victim of the run. And the
Right.
one thing too that I want to say, and Cookie Monster, shout outs to you because you're watching us right now. You're saying Xavier McKinney, he's gonna also have some type of impact in this game. He is, but I'll tell you this much: outside zone runs are absolutely made so that the secondary are the ones making the tackle. And they're gonna run those outside zones, and we're gonna see who's a man in this team. We're gonna see who wants to come up
Right.
and shoot those legs at Derrick Henry, bro. Because if you go high on this guy might give
Double
you a
leg
concussion.
takedown.
Yo, he might give you
2
a concussion. Yeah, you're gonna need to MMA this
Exactly.
guy. And
So,
Hell yeah.
that's what I want to see Julian Love. He is not hiding in this game. Julian Love is gonna show me real quick and real early if he's valid. Like if I'm the one that's wrong on him. Because
Well, listen,
they're
man.
gonna come on
on the
him.
defensive side, I agree. Like for them to win, if let's assume step one is done and Daniel Jones gets him a lead early, right? Step two is your defense has to hold, and the way you hold your defense, if you have a lead, right, and they're not able to force feed Henry, which reduces the efficiency of their play action, right?
Mhm.
Which, by the way, I don't think play action is a great
It's not.
scheme against Wayne Martindale.
And it's not even
Because-
correlated either. Play action can still work even if the run is not working neither. That's proven
Right.
statistically, right?
No, absolutely. And I actually don't think it's going to be very effective against Martindale because, you don't have that much time
He's blitzing
against the blitz heavy
regardless.
scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But if you have a lead and Tannehill has to throw it on first down, second down, whatever it is, the only way you're winning this game is if Aaron Robinson is not walking around with a bullseye on his back, right? Because Tannehill's not a great quarterback, but Tannehill will absolutely eat weaknesses. He's a very efficient, very smart quarterback. So if he's looking at 33, I think that's his number, right? He's looking at 33.
Dreads.
Yep, he's looking at the dreads, and he's like,
shot us.
Dreads is out of position. Dreads never turns his head. I'm cooking him, and he's just throwing the ball up high in the air because I'm pretty sure Robinson is going to be covering Traylon Burks with his freaking gigantic hands, right? With boar hunting hands.
Yeah.
And he's just going to be
Dehydrated as fuck.
Dehydrated, asthma attack, whatever. He's going to be throwing the ball in the air to him, and he's going to throw a bunch of competitive balls. And if Aaron Robinson's out of position and he's not playing him well, you're going to let him back in. But let's say you have a lead and Robinson holds his own. That's when you see a guy like Tannehill, when he has to go to his second and third reads and guys are not open and he's rushed, that's when you can beat him, right? But if he's got an easy target, he's going to take it all day long. And he's going to rip it to shreds. So that's number two. And then number three to me is if you have the lead and your defense is holding on, then it just comes down to Saquon Barkley time. I want to see Saquon Barkley take over the game. If you have a lead, you get the ball. I want to see Saquon punish the Titans the way they think Derrick Henry is going to punish us. Outside runs, absolutely put up. Give me 100 yards on the ground. Give me another 40 passing. Give me a 140 to 150 yard game. Put it in the end zone. Get 4 or 5 receptions. Whatever it is. To me, those are the keys to victory. Daniel Jones gets us a lead. The defense does not collapse, which means the secondary has to hold, specifically Robinson, and then Saquon takes over. That is, to me, the narrow path we have to walk to win. Any one of those things falls apart, and we're going to get slapped all over the field. Let's be honest. And that's what's going to happen if we don't do all those things perfectly.
I'll get that fixed,
Well,
brother.
No, this team hasn't won the first game of the season since 2016. My daughter wasn't even born then. It's been 5 years. So, yeah, this team needs to, hopefully they do it this year. So, game predictions. Ash, you're the guest. You're the man with 2 million views and counting on your page. Please,
Naughty.
please, tell me who's winning this game.
I want to believe that we have a chance. I do. I do want to believe that we can be able to pull off, but I'm just not. I'm not. I don't have any faith. Yeah, I don't have any faith in some of these these young guys, especially like week one coming out the gate. Mm-hmm. That being said, I'm going to pick the Tennessee Titans. I think the Giants will score a little bit more than what people expect. If there's a dog screaming in the background, don't
Nah,
just don't mind it. I don't know if
I don't hear
Nah,
anything.
bro, we
I don't
love
hear
dogs.
anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big dog show here.
I don't, but I'm gonna pick the Titans to win. I'm gonna say 20. I'm gonna say 29-17.
Damn.
29 to
Smoked
17.
us.
Yeah.
All right.
Smack that. Sal, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I want to believe that we can win this game. I don't really believe. I don't really think all those things I said are going to play out the way I'd like them to.
Titans, yeah.
So I do think we're lose. I think we actually lose a close game. I think we're going to be in this game.
Right.
To me, the most likely, if you played out 100, 100 scenarios on the computer and the algorithm, the most common scenario that would come out is close game right until like the third quarter, early fourth quarter, they take a lead and they never look back, and Daniel Jones just can't get us back to the lead, and we lose by a score, which is how we've seen the last 3 years go. And until I see different, that's what I believe. So I'm going to go with the final score of Tennessee 23, Giants. Well, let's say it's 24-20, something like that, you know?
Okay.
I think that's probably where I'm putting this. I think it's under a touchdown, but I have a feeling Daniel Jones does not put us over the edge put us over the top at the end of the game.
Okay. I'll go.
Go ahead.
I'll go next, and I think I also don't think that the Giants can win this game either. When the season schedule came out, I had the Giants losing this game. I just don't think I don't see where like all those things we talked about, stopping the run. We just lost our best run defensive player.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to score points. We haven't shown that we can score points, no matter the coaching staff. We don't know what the hell we're going to see in there with first time head coach, first time OC. So I'm going to make this short and sweet. I think it's going to be a close game because I don't know what the Titans are going to be this year. I really don't. Robert Woods, their number one, is coming off an ACL. Their defense, they have a rookie starting at cornerback, and they have a rookie right tackle. And I know we do as well, but obviously you take an Evan Neal or Petit Friedi from Ohio State. No offense, Ashton. Shout out Ohio State. OH. But I think this is going to be a close game, and I think the Giants are going to lose 24-21.
If that happens, I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna be okay with that because I'm at least taking the points. I'm taking the points. I'm gambling on the points. So if that happens, I'm gonna be okay with that.
The spread's what, 4.5?
It's 5.5 right now. So
it's moving up.
Which is a weird spread first and foremost, but whatever.
Home team gets 3 points.
Listen.
Do it, Tony.
I'm predicting a win, but I'm predicting a win. It's not because the Giants are good, but kind of sort of the Titans aren't the Titans right now. They lost last year, their first game of the season. They lost to ugly teams last year. They lost to the Jets and not the Mike White Jets.
I forgot about that.
And they lost to the Houston Texans last year. At least one of the games.
Tyrod Taylor's Houston Texans.
That's right.
And, we got the sauce.
They didn't play this preseason, so I'm expecting, especially Tannehill, to be rusty. It's gonna be like the preseason game, and anything can happen. I got the Giants winning. I got the Giants winning a close one. I got them winning 27-23, I guess, or 24. 21. I got them. I'll put it that way. 27-21. Giants win week 1, and
man,
it's the game sealing play is an interception by one of the Giants. Like the Giants end the drive. Like Tannehill has to drive to the field, and it's an interception. The game is on an interception.
That just sounds so orgasmic right now. That would be awesome. So let's go. Hey, but guys, before we get off, I appreciate everyone for coming on. I appreciate everyone interacting with us. Ash,
absolutely,
you're going to be on with Tommy Takes tomorrow on Spaces. You're also going to be on Hub's channel. Shout out your...
No, I'm just saying, I might do a space, but I think he had something pop up. So I won't be doing one with him tomorrow. But I am thinking about doing like a space.
And you're thinking about doing a podcast too, right?
So you got to get back.
Yeah, but yeah, I have a video dropping tomorrow. I don't know what time I have it scheduled for. It might be like at night or something, but it's a preview to the Buffalo Bills Rams game, and then I'll have
Okay.
a video previewing and predicting all the Sunday matchups. And then I'll have a video preview and predicting the Monday matchup, probably dropping on Monday. And yeah,
Are you
and
doing just
then
win losses, or are you doing spreads in that? My suggestion is putting gambling stuff in there, man, so you can get
I
people's
might do
attention.
the spreads. I
Mm-hmm.
might do the spreads. I gotta
Okay.
see it. I gotta see what it is, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But yeah, that's all I have. Like I said, thank you for having me on, and
Absolutely, brother.
look out for that space tomorrow.
We'll be
Probably
there.
around
We'll be there.
7:30.
Fellas, if you want to get, if for your ads, Ashton, Sal, Tone, where can we follow you all at?
Yeah, you can find me at BT Giants on Twitter, man. You'll find me being fairly optimistic about this team right now. Neymar, real quick shout out to Neymar. He's saying he got the Giants winning 35-17. That
Hell yeah.
happens, man. We're gonna party hard on Monday. Cookie mentioned that the Saquon is gonna run all over the Titans. We got some positive people, man, on the chat, man. Like, I think that the Saquon gets his yardage. I don't think it's gonna be through the ground, because that defensive line and that front seven is just too powerful for that.
Yeah.
So I think Derrick Henry gets the best out of the run situation, but I think overall, Saquon has a better game than Derrick Henry, and that needs to happen in order for the Giants to win. Yeah, BT Giants is me.
Sal, where can we follow you at?
So I'm on Twitter, Queens_guy. You'll just see me. I'm just kind of hanging around. You'll see me on the spaces. So if you guys want to follow me and see me on the spaces, happy to interact, talk some Giant stuff. I love talking about not just football and play, but as you guys know, I love analytics and talking about the business side of it, the cap, where I think the direction of the future of the NFL cap and how they allocate roster building resources is. So if anybody's interested, happy to chop it up on those things.
You're the Joe Shane of the group, bro. Hell yeah. Appreciate you being on. Ash, where can we follow you at, man?
Yeah, you can check out my channel, The Get Back on YouTube, literally The Get Back. You can follow me on Twitter. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a spaces tomorrow at Ash. I think it's my name, Ashton.Griffith or Ashton Griffith _. I forgot my at for a little bit.
It happens.
And yeah, so I'll be doing a space, and then I'll be on Kid Blue. I think the Young Guns podcast is on Kid Blue's channel. Yeah, it's on
Huge hub
Kid Blue.
channel.
So I'll be on that tomorrow as well. So
yeah, Ash will be in the hub. Yep, correct.
Shout out Kush, shout out Kid Blue, shout out Ash, shout out Sal, shout out Tone.
We need to go to the hub, man. We need to get on.
Yes, absolutely. Shout out all you guys for coming in and tuning in. Appreciate all you guys. Once again, this is Breaking Tacos Week 1, and we appreciate you guys very, very much. Tone, please give it off to these people.
Let's go, man. Let's get out of here, bro. Peace out, man. Everybody, peace.